Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today is finally the day where we've got Sonoma working on the new way Hackintosh. So today I'm going to show you how to actually get this up and running for yourself, and a few disclaimers that you need to know before building your Sonoma Hackintosh. So if you go to the link in the description below, you'll reach this page. Basically, you can read the notice here. So obviously it is a beta template, so there will be some issues and bugs. So don't obviously run it as your main Hackintosh. And if you ask for help on the Discord, we might not be able to solve your issue, but we will try our best to actually solve it. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see that we have a 2002 template, which is pre-installed. So basically that means you don't have to do any of the boot arguments, anything like that. It'll just take you to the setup screen, which I'll show you later in this video. Then the 2003 template is the pre-configured one. So this just skips the need to mount all the ISOs to the virtual machine and add the config file in, but it does still mean that you have to go through the setup process of that virtual machine, such as formatting the disks, installing Sonoma, and then moving your EFI over. So, with all these templates, if they come in as a zip file, you want to unzip them until you get the vma.zst file, and no further than that, otherwise they don't work. So we've got two types of downloads that you can do for both of the pre-installed and pre-configured. So you can download them directly, and then you can download them as a torrent. So directly, you literally just go here, download, and then at the top of the screen you can see it'll start downloading. So we've got on the downloads folder, you can see there it starts to download at a decent speed, but that's not my full speed. I usually get around 36 megabytes per second, but if you want to download it directly and you don't have a torrent client, then you can do that. But if you have a torrent client and you want to use the torrent, you literally say for example we'll do the pre-installed one, click that, download, it'll go to the top of your screen, you can see there. And then if I just put this in a torrent client now, which I'll open up, so I'm actually on the Synology virtual machine that I went through in a video a couple of videos ago on my channel. If you want to know how to get that up and running yourself, you can do. But if I don't go to the built-in download station, you can see I've already downloaded some here, but I'll just show you as an example. So you just pick up that file. As you can see, I've selected it, click OK, and then just tick the actual vma.zst. If I click create now, you can see now it begins to download. So with the torrent, you'll notice that the speed gradually picks up, and it doesn't first of all start as a main up increase of the speed, but you can see it's increasing now. So basically, I've already got it downloaded, obviously, because me and Tor made these templates, so I don't actually need to download it, but you just need to download it, and then I'll show you the next step on getting it into your Proxmox host. So you can see I'm on the Proxmox host. So there's two different ways you can do this. So if you've just got the local disk here and no other disks, unlike me, obviously I've got a lot more, or a network attached storage device, if you just got this, we can upload that to the actual main disk using a program called WinSCP. But if you have a network attached storage device and you've mounted it using the storage add SMB and then put your details in there, then you can do it this way, which I'm just going to show you right now. So this is my NAS. Basically, you can see that there's a dump and a template folder. So the template folder, if you go into ISO, that's where you put your ISOs in. If you go to dump, you can see that there's files in here, but yours will be empty. Basically, you want to drag that file that you downloaded into here, which I've done here, the 2002, but I did that a couple of days ago. But basically, once you've done that, you just go onto the Proxmox web interface, go to the backups tab, and then you just click on that and do restore. But I'll show you again the restore in a moment when I show you WinSCP. So if you download WinSCP from the description below, you just click download now, and then download the installer. then just walk through it like any other installer. It's pretty easy and straightforward. But once you've done that, you're going to open it, which I'll do off screen right now, and then you'll receive a window that looks like that, but one overlapping that looks like this. So for this, you want to put the IP address of your Proxmox host, the username, and the password of your Proxmox user. Once you've done that, click on login, and then you'll receive a folder like this. So the folder is basically, we're in the root directory right now, but we want to go into the / directory, so you do them 2 dots. Then we want to go in the var. I've got it sorted to where the var's at the top, but yours might be at the bottom. Double click into that, go to lib, vz, dump, and you can see that there's already a file in there for me. But basically, all you want to do is, I'll just use this as an example, drag it over, and you receive a screen that looks a bit like this. Sorry. WinSCP will show a window, it just won't work on my recording software. But basically you'll get a time left, which is 2 minutes for me. But once that's in there, I'll show you how to restore it. So yours will be in the local folder if you've only got one disk, but I've obviously got it on my NAS. So you can see that the 2002 template is the one that's pre-installed, which we will restore first. So we're going to simulate sort of the one-click template here. So from now, watch how many clicks that I do. So 1, 2, select the storage, 3, give it a name, change the override the settings if you want to. Maybe 4 clicks on that. But the one-click restore really is the restore part. Just in case you're wondering, that's how it works. Basically now you can see we've got a progress. We're basically just going to wait for that to actually finish, so let's do that. It shouldn't take long, but depending on your system and depending on how good your processor is at decompressing files, will also depend on your time that it takes you to actually restore. So I'm just going to wait for that off camera. So you can see that now mine's done, and it took about 100 seconds. So if we close that dialog now, you can see that we have the Sonoma template here. All we're going to do is go to hardware, and this is where you can add in a GPU. I'm not going to do that because obviously I want to show you on screen first, but I may do this later in the video. So if we go to console and click start now, you can see that we'll get it to boot up just like any other macOS installation. So if we press on enter here, oops, sorry about that, you can see it starts to load. Basically what this will do, it'll take us to the setup screen. So I'll configure this and then bring you to the desktop once I've done it, of course. But you can see that we're nearly loaded. So you can see we're on the Sonoma setup screen. Basically you want to just select your country and region. This is a lot smoother than the Ventura and Monterey setup screen. So if we click on continue, not now, continue, just skip the migration to assistant and set up the Apple ID later because you've not got this correct SM BIOS yet. Click agree, agree again. You can edit the picture if you want to. I'm just gonna do it as an emoji, that one. Basically, sometimes it will freeze like this. There's no graphics acceleration, so it will do. If I do HSV, password, click on continue. It'll take a moment to create the account. We have noticed that in testing, so I will do this off camera until it creates the account. So there we go. If we click continue and don't use, because we don't want location services, select your time zone. So wherever you're from, select that. Continue. You can do whatever for analytics. setting up screen time later because we're not signed in, and then I'll just leave this on auto, so it'll change depending on what time of day it is. Then click continue. Then we should in a moment see the Sonoma desktop if everything's correct, and we do, so it's loading in. You just set up your keyboard, for example, and basically we've got the Sonoma desktop. Let me just give it a moment to actually load in. So you can see now we're loaded in. It didn't take much longer after a stop, to be honest, but you can see, there we go, we're on Sonoma 14.0. So you can see it's the beta version, so obviously you will receive instabilities with this OS. So on the desktop in the top right, you'll see HSV getting started. If you double click, you'll see two files. So you'll see the readme file. So if you double click into that, Tor's kindly put some documentation in there for you. So the documentation literally walks you through everything. So you can see you get the correct EFI file, and then you basically just make the EFI and things, copy the correct one over. So I'll just walk you through that now, demonstrate how to do it. So what I recommend you doing is dragging the getting started file onto the desktop for further use. So if we drag that over, it shouldn't take too long to copy over. But basically, once that's copied, if we close that out now and double click into getting started, you've got two folders. So you've got tools, which is self-explanatory, all your tools, and then EFIs. So for native GPUs, so the AMD GPUs, you do that folder. If it's still legacy NVIDIA's, which we don't know if works yet, but it might work in the future, then you extract that. So I'm just going to do native GPUs because I'm going to pass through an iGPU. Yes, that's right. iGPUs are now working partially in the new way Hackintosh. So basically, I've got that on the desktop. If I double click into tools and open up Open Code Configurator, you right click and do open. This bypasses the gatekeeper authentication. Once you've done that, tools, mount EFI. Sorry for the speed run, it's just really easy for me now. And mount the AppleLink Vertile block media. Do mount partition. Enter the EFI. Open it. You get a blank EFI folder as such. Double click into that HSV EFI, and then just drag over the EFI into that folder. Done. Once you've done that, all you want to do is go up to the top right here and just click that little eject button. Then we're going to shut down Sonoma. Shut down. I'm just going to untick that, click shut down. You can see now we're shutting it down, and basically we're just going to remove that default OpenCore bootloader, which I'll show you again now. Then we'll move on to the pre-configured one in case yours doesn't work this way. So you can see the IDE2 volume that's 150 megabytes. If you just click detach, I recommend you keeping the unused disk because you can literally do edit and then IDE and then it'll work. If you want to, you can take snapshots, but you're going to need to remove the HSV disk, which is under SATA 0. So we'll click detach on that too. Now, if we go to snapshots, we can do take snapshots, and then just name it clean install, for example. Just like that, boom, snapshot. Now, if I go back and boot up to macOS again, macOS Sonoma, I'll just go through a few disclaimers while that boots up. But basically, Sonoma obviously is in the first developer beta. We are having some graphical glitches. Certainly Tor, he's even tried it on bare metal, and there is some glitches with it. So don't expect it to be the smoothest experience ever. I definitely recommend you look at our other templates for Monterey and Ventura, which was my previous video. So this is obviously the first revision, but it's got the updated OpenCore version 0.92, and it's also got updated kex, and the tools have been fully up to date. But you can see we're back on the desktop now, and basically all I'm going to do is actually enable VNC and pass through my iGPU. So I won't show you the configuration of the iGPU because the UHD 630 we've got working on the new way, but that'll be another video for you, as this one will get too long. So if you enable screen sharing and then open up a VNC client to make sure it works. Also, to get an IP address on Proxmox, you go to summary, and then there's the IP address 39, which I already have pulled up here. So you log in as normal. So I've got mine as testing. Oh, sorry, HSVE. And then if I just switch over the screen recording to VNC, you can see now that we're in a VNC connection. So if I shut down the virtual machine and then pass through my iGPU, I'll meet you back on this desktop. So I'll pass through the iGPU, so if you enter the password now, it will freeze on the login screen because we are remotely connecting. But basically, I've passed through the iGPU as my GT630 we haven't got working yet. So it looks like Apple might be dropping support for any NVIDIA card, but I'm not sure on that yet, so don't quote me on that until the final release or the public beta. But you can see we're now getting accelerated graphics, but if we go to about this Mac, it'll still say that the display is only 3 megabytes until we actually go into system information and then displays. Then you'll see the UHD 630. I've not applied the advanced patches for this, so it doesn't show us the 630 yet, but you can see that it does show us a built-in GPU with 1.5 gigs of RAM. Now let's move on to the pre-configured template. So with the pre-configured template, again you upload it the same way as the pre-installed one. It's the 2003 option on our download station. So if I click restore, select a storage, and you can override some settings. I'm just going to leave it at default. You'll notice that it restores a lot quicker. This is because it's obviously not installed on the disk. The only thing that's attached is the Sonoma ISO that we've created and the OpenCore 0.92 ISO. So you can see it gets stuck on 94% because that's the actual ISOs copying over, including our HSVE ISO with all the tools and configurations. So basically, I'll show you how to actually get the installer up and running, and then pretty much from there, it's all the same as the pre-installed one once you get past that installer onto the initial setup screen. So we're going to just wait for this to finish and then I'll be back to you. It might also stick on 100% for a while, but once that's done, task OK. So the hardware section looks pretty similar. So basically, this is the Sonoma ISO, this is the OpenCore bootloader, and this is our HSV ISO, and this is our hard disk. If you want to change the size of the hard disk, detach this, create a new VirtIO volume, and then add it again. But basically, if we go to console, you'll notice that the setup process isn't the same, and it's not as easy. So this is sort of a manual installation and the hardware. So if we press enter into UEFI shell, enter again, you'll see a shell prompt. What we're going to do there is FS0 : / on a UK keyboard / is Alt-GR and the hash key. System, so if I do SYS and press tab, it fills it out for me. Same with library, core services, boot.efi. So again, FS0 : system / library / core services / boot.efi. If we press enter, you can see we get the Apple logo. From there, if you've set up a real Mac, it's the exact same, but I'll just walk you through how to format the disk, and then begin installing. This will give you an overview on how much more difficult this pre-configured way is compared to the pre-installed way, because obviously you're going to have to do all these extra steps. But you can see we're in the installer, so if we double click into disk utility, do view at the top, show all devices. You can see that VirtIO block media, click erase, name it whatever you want, macOS, erase that. It's going to run the erase operation. Click on done once it's done, obviously. Close that, double click into the macOS 14 beta installer. It might be a bit glitchy around this area because it has to load off your network attached storage device if you have one, so you might get the spinning wheel of death, but we'll just wait for that. So you can see read all the terms and click agree. Agree again, and then select our macOS disk, continue, and that's it. So from now on, basically when it reboots, you're just going to press enter on each default value until you get to that setup screen of the pre-installed one. Then from there, it's the exact same as the pre-installed one. You've got the HSV folder on the desktop that you can use to get your Hackintosh up and running. So that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we're so happy that we got Sonoma working. So if it doesn't work on your system and it still boot loops, this is because your CPU isn't supported. So we've tested it on the 2nd generation i7 and we couldn't get it to boot. So that's actually meant that I've had to go and buy a new server for this video, which I am loving so far, which has got an 8th gen i5. But we have tested it on 4th generations and upwards, and that seems to work. So if it doesn't work on your system, please contact the Discord, which is in the link below, and basically just tell us what CPU you've got and we'll add it to our compatibility Sonoma page on my website. This will allow us to build a picture on which systems are supported and which aren't. That will go in our final video when Sonoma is released to the public as a public beta. More videos will be coming as each developer beta comes out, just because the configuration might be a bit different each time as Apple tries to take the Hackintosh community down. So that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like and consider subscribing to this channel for future updates on Sonoma the new way. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.